Today is our fifth lecture and fifth day and the last day of the week from a learning point of view, right? Because you go to classes tomorrow, right? None of you. Okay. So today is basically I'm going to continue from yesterday in terms of applications and innovations and entrepreneurial things which can be done using this technology, which we are learning for last whole week basically. So let's go and get it right. So I decided to rehash the hash again, and the other words we have talked about so far from a concept point of view, idea point of view. One new word or three words I put there was this one here, homomorphically encrypted interaction. It's a mouthful to say, homomorphically encrypted interactions. So yesterday I mentioned combine that with blockchain, the power of blockchain, and you can do lots of wonderful things basically, lots of things. And again, we talked about Bitcoin, blockchain, of course, immutability, norms, security, hyperledger, Ethereum, collision-free, hiding, puzzle-friendly, decentralized ledger, and trustless consensus. These are the keywords, and I intentionally thought to rehash that again, basically. Keep those words in front of you, in front of your eyes and mind. So, where do we start on the startups? Startup companies can leverage and exploit these five properties of this new technological platform, combined with homomorphic encryption algorithms. Number one, smart contracts. Number two, immutability. Number three, distributed ledger. Number four, disintermediation. If you are middlemen, brokers, you can disintermediate them. They will not be required if you use this technology. Number five, we also learned that there are platforms that don't need 10 minutes to add a block. Some of them are claiming instantaneous. You can do near real time. Or, depending upon application, if something is taking 4 days, 5 days, a week, or 2 weeks, then about 10 minutes is a real time for that application, right? But something is taking 10 minutes is not real time. That's a next life basically, right? So for that application, need the platform which is claiming or truly has the potential of instant transactions. So these are the five things basically can be exploited, can be leveraged to create many kinds of startup companies by this. Just think about it. So first one, I'm going to take each one of them, all the five, one by one. So first one was a smart contract. What is a smart contract? The idea behind that is not new. It's not like last 10 years. Smart contract idea has been there for a long time. But now it has become really popular again because of the Bitcoin and blockchain and Ethereum and all those things, right? The smart contracts are it's a tool to create predefined business rules and steps. Those of you might know about stored procedures from a programming point of view. At least in my time, when I was going to school, and also early in my career, there's a thing called stored procedures. And this is very similar to stored procedure from a conceptual point of view. Very similar. So what you do, you encode the business rules and business steps. Example, I will give the same words lawn mowing in America, right? You have a deal with someone that for the summer they will come for mowing your lawn, and you have agreed to pay some money once the lawn mowing is done, either every month or every week or when the whole summer is done. So there are the business rules that if you do so much work, I'm going to pay so much money. It's a rule, right? So you can encode all those rules like that in some smart contract. Okay. A popular smart contract programming language is Solidity. That is more tied to Ethereum, by the way. So when I talked about Solidity, we are talking about platform called Ethereum, or those platforms which are related to Ethereum somehow, or those platforms which can understand the programs in that language. The language has to talk to the platform, right? So that's an example, and when explore more and more, you can learn about it. I met one of your seniors. I think he's in third year right now. Rajat Goyal. I met him yesterday, and 2 years ago, he and one of his seniors from fourth year who taught themselves Ethereum and Solidity and how to do programming by the way. And they wrote an application called Organ Chain or organ transplant, organ transfer kind of processes. So they call it organ chain. These two guys taught themselves how smart contracts work, how Ethereum works, how Solidity works. They wrote an application already. And Rajat was here yesterday. Today, I don't see him today, but he was here yesterday. I'm meeting him and his partner again next week. Very inspiring for me. I got inspired that these two young people taught themselves without anyone telling them. This amazing stuff. Real amazing thing, right? And I'm here to encourage such kind of thought processes and such kind of behavior from an entrepreneurship point of view. So just understand that the tools are there, platforms, programming languages. If you want to get some idea from the startup companies I'm going to show you today and talk about that, then you can do that. So let's play the video number one. Who can help me to turn the video one? I'm going to unplug this.
Third one is smart contracts.
Smart contract. How smart contracts works.
Smart contracts are very popular nowadays. But what are they, and what problems do they solve? The term smart contract was first used by Nick Szabo in 1997, long before Bitcoin was created. He is a computer scientist, law scholar, and cryptographer, so I'll spare you his exact words. But in simple terms, he wanted to use a distributed ledger to store contracts. Now, smart contracts are just like contracts in the real world. The only difference is that they are completely digital. In fact, a smart contract is actually a tiny computer program that is stored inside of a blockchain. Let's take a look at an example to understand how smart contracts work. You probably are familiar with Kickstarter, the large fundraising platform. Product teams can go to Kickstarter, create a project, set a funding goal, and start collecting money from others who believe in the idea. Kickstarter is essentially a third party that sits in between product teams and supporters. This means that both of them need to trust Kickstarter to handle their money correctly. If the project gets successfully funded, the project team expects Kickstarter to give them their money. On the other hand, supporters want their money to go to the project if it was funded, or to get a refund when it hasn't reached its goals. Both the product team and its supporters have to trust Kickstarter. But with smart contracts, we can build a similar system that doesn't require a third party like Kickstarter. So let's create a smart contract for this. We can program a smart contract so that it holds all the received funds until a certain goal is reached. The supporters of a project can now transfer that money to the smart contract. If the project gets fully funded, the contract automatically passes the money to the creator of the project. And if the project fails to meet these goals, then the money automatically goes back to the supporters. Pretty awesome, right? And because smart contracts are stored inside a blockchain, everything is completely distributed. With this technique, no one is in control of the money. But wait a minute, why should we trust a smart contract? Well, because smart contracts are stored on a blockchain, they inherit some interesting properties. They are immutable and they are distributed. Being immutable means that once a smart contract is created, it can never be changed again. So no one can go behind your back and tamper with the code of your contract. And being distributed means that the output of your contract is validated by everyone on the network. So a single person cannot force the contract to release the funds because other people on the network will spot this attempt and mark it as invalid. Tampering with smart contracts becomes almost impossible. Smart contracts can be applied to many different things, not just in crowdfunding. Banks, for example, could use it to issue loans or to offer automatic payments. Insurance companies could use it to process certain claims, and postal companies could use it for payment on delivery, and so on and so on. So now you might wonder, where and how can I use smart contracts? Well, right now there are a handful of blockchains who support smart contracts, but the biggest one is Ethereum. It was specifically created and designed to support smart contracts. Smart contracts can be programmed in a special programming language called Solidity. This language was specifically created for Ethereum and uses a syntax that resembles JavaScript. It's also worth noting that Bitcoin also has support for smart contracts, although it's a lot more limited compared to Ethereum. So now you know what smart contracts are and what problems they solve. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit the like button and get subscribed. And as always, thank you very much for watching.
Hit the like button on Facebook. So you can see that this is the process you described in the video, and I'm hoping that by now you've got some idea what smart contracts are, right? Any questions about that? So the second feature was immutability. And we've heard about that many times before. That's a key feature, so it keeps coming back again and again, basically. Uh, in blockchain, every single transaction is certain and verifiable. Two important things. It is certain and can be also audited. It can be verified by a third party. So it's not enough to be certain. You need to close the loop so that someone can verify, someone can audit it, and stamp it and verify. And thus preventing previous blocks from being altered. As I said in lectures before, it is pain in the neck or almost impossible to change something which is long in the past in the blockchain, because every succeeding block changes, and you have to compute again all the hashes and everything else. So each block is linked to the previous block through a hash function. We talked about in lectures 1 and 2, right? Do you call that? All of you? Excellent. So to talk about that in more detail, I'm going to play another short video from YouTube, video 2 for this lecture.
Well, but One of the attributes the blockchain is often associated with is its immutability. And today we're going to focus on the reason why the blockchain, in its technical nature,
is an immutable database and why we cannot manipulate data that's already in the blockchain afterwards. So let's take a deep look at the technique of the blockchain. And remember that the blockchain is a chain of blocks, which means there are single blocks in the blockchain that are connected to each other. And the connection between the blocks is made by their hash value. The hash value is a value that's unique, identifying one block, and it depends on the content of the block. So each block has its own hash value, which is unique, and it's identifying this block, only this block. And therefore, each block can reference or point to the block before, which means the fourth block is taking a reference to the third one is taking a reference to the second, and so on. So that reference is made by the hash value. So what has this to do with the immutability of the blockchain? Let's just go into a short example and propose we have this blockchain. You can see here, we have 4 blocks that are already existing like this in the blockchain. And now we have Bob who is trying to manipulate the third block of this blockchain. The current hash value of the third block is starting with 9F86, so on. And now Bob is changing the content, which means the hash value of the third block is also changing. So Bob is changing the value, and therefore the hash value also changes to a new hash value starting with 4800. The problem now is that the fourth block is still referencing the third block by its hash value, and the hash value of the third block is not valid anymore, the old one. It has a new hash value, the one starting with 4800. And therefore, the reference is not correct anymore. So the fourth block is pointing to nowhere. It's causing kind of a null pointer in a technical way. And therefore, we don't have a blockchain as it was existing before, because now we cut off the third block. Because the fourth block doesn't have a reference anymore to the third block. And because every block is related to its neighbor, we also cut off the second and the first block, because they are connected to the third, and therefore they are also cut off. So that's already the answer to our question. And just to sum it up, it's not possible to change the blockchain afterwards or to manipulate it, because the blocks are connected to each other by the hash value. And if we change the content of the blockchain, the hash value is changing, and therefore the references in the blockchain are not valid anymore. Is it all of the proof? Not really. There's something that should be mentioned here, which is another attack, and it's called the 51% attack. It's a special technique to manipulate the blockchain, which requires you to have more than 50% of the blockchain's hash power, of the network's hash power. So if you have the majority of the hash power in the network, you're able to double spend the same Bitcoin, for example, several times, and therefore you can manipulate it. But that's another topic. If you want me to talk about this in another video, please leave a comment here, and I will make another video if there's a demand for this, and we'll link it here. But for now, I hope I helped you, and see you soon.
So that is another way, another person to explain what immutability is all about and why it happens.
So, how can you say that it is immutable? Like, assuming I'm an evil person, what I want is to destroy the block. I'll change just one block data. The other data gets destroyed by itself. Like, the leak gets broken or something. The blockchain doesn't exist if I change just one block. So my intention gets completed that I destroy the blockchain. So, like, how can we refer it as immutable?
So the point there to remember is that it's a decentralized and democratic process. 51% people, at least in the network, have to agree with what the blockchain looks like. Not only that, everyone has the exact copy of the chain. So all the miners, the guys with access to huge compute power, they have the same copy. It is almost impossible, I don't want to say impossible, almost impossible to destroy all the chains on all the miners' computers worldwide. It's almost impossible.
So whenever a transaction happens, that the new block created is created it all around
Yeah, so
multiple
exactly.
copies.
So once a new block gets added, then there's a new chain, so to speak, right? Because there's a new member now. Then all the other computers in the network have the new chain. So that's the point. You can't destroy. And there is one other feature blockchain promoters claim about is that the data is safe. You can't destroy it. It's not even one server, so you can't destroy the server and destroy the data. It is like everywhere.
So in case the main data goes
But there's no
destroyed,
main,
then it will get recovered.
there's no main data, so to speak, right? It's a peer-to-peer network. Just understand this, right? So there's no master, no slave, no server, no client. Am I making understand? So it's a peer-to-peer network. Exact same thing is residing on multiple places, multiple locations. Please go ahead.
So in that case, the third block was manipulated. So its hash value changed from 19 something to 40 something. But that change, won't that change happen in every minus computer?
So as we have talked before, if you change the content or the norms or one of the fields in a block, then all the succeeding blocks will change. Right? We talked about
So,
that.
but for like it would change in every computer. So the actual
Everybody is
data.
having the local copy, so you are changing in your own system. And if you want that to be accepted to all, then you have to like broadcast it and everybody should accept it.
See, thank you. I call it peer-to-peer teaching. You asked me a question, and my other student, saved the day for me. The peer, that's exactly what is happening. So you can change on the access you have in the machine, but other people, from a democratic process point of view, 51% people will not have the change. So they will win. Thank you.
So we cannot change the contents in a block because then we need to change the hash function of every block following it. But if we look at the last block, then we can change the content of that block.
You can change because there's no other
block
succeeding
following
block.
that.
That's right.
So it will not will be like we can change the contents of the block.
True, but again, same argument what you got from your peer-to-peer teaching, same argument applies there as well because all the miners on the network will not have the change, so majority will win. In democratic process, majority wins. So that block which has been changed, that chain will be discarded basically, the whole chain. So that chain will not be democratically voted by other people.
But the previous blocks also won't point to that block.
But it doesn't matter because there's no one server. You have to get over the idea. There's no one master database. You have to get over that, right? And once you understand that there's no one master, then you can change one instance, another 1,000 instances will vote you out. They will say that your blockchain is not the chain we want. So you get rejected this year. Okay? So that's good. I really like the peer-to-peer teaching more than server and client teaching. Okay? I'm using the same analogies. So anyway, so you heard from other person what immutability means and how it can be leveraged as well. Distributed ledger now. This was the third property I had mentioned earlier. This can be leveraged to create startups. Blockchain, again, is a peer-to-peer distributed public network. It is not a private application, even though private applications can be designed and built using blockchain platform. Now, in this case, it is a public network, then it does not typically preserve the identities of the transactions parties, or transacting parties, the transaction data. You have ID basically, but there is no your name, where you live, where you are, is not there. Only the proof of the transaction existence. What blockchain gives, by the way, doesn't keep your identity, so that's anonymity part of that. It makes sure the transaction exists. That's what you can say. So if A and B transacted, it ensures that that transaction exists in the blockchain. But there's no information about transacting party. It's distributed ledger. So let's watch another short video in more detail what that property means basically. So please play the third video as well. Thank you. The third one?
What if there's
The third one, right?
a technological advancement so powerful that it transforms the very basic pillars of our society? A technology which fundamentally influences the way that our economy, governance systems, and businesses function, and could change our conceptual understanding of trade, ownership, and trust. This technology already exists, and it's called cryptocurrency. People often think of Bitcoin as only virtual money or a transaction system. But if you look closer, you'll see that the monetary aspect is just the tip of the iceberg. That's because Bitcoin is a groundbreaking internet technology for which money is merely one of the possible applications. Money exists to facilitate trade. Through the centuries, trade has become incredibly complex. Everyone trades with everyone worldwide. Trade is recorded in bookkeeping, and this information is often isolated and closed to the public. For this reason, we use third parties and middlemen we trust to facilitate and approve our transactions. Think of governments, banks, accountants, notaries, and the paper money in your wallet. We call these trusted third parties. This brings us to the essence of Bitcoin. Bitcoin software enables a network of computers to maintain a collective bookkeeping via the internet. This bookkeeping is neither closed nor in control of one party. Rather, it is public and available in one digital ledger which is fully distributed across the network. We call this the blockchain. In the blockchain, all transactions are logged, including information on the time, date, participants, and amount of every single transaction. Each node in the network owns a full copy of the blockchain. On the basis of complicated, state-of-the-art mathematical principles, the transactions are verified by the so-called Bitcoin miners, who maintain the ledger. The mathematical principles also ensure that these nodes automatically and continuously agree about the current state of the ledger and every transaction in it. If anyone attempts to corrupt a transaction, the nodes will not arrive at a consensus, and hence will refuse to incorporate the transaction in the blockchain. So every transaction is public, and thousands of nodes unanimously agree that a transaction has occurred on date X at time Y. It's almost like there's a notary present at every transaction. This way, everyone has access to a shared single source of truth. This is why we can always trust the blockchain. The ledger doesn't care whether a Bitcoin represents a certain amount of euros or dollars, or anything else of value, or property for that matter. Users can decide for themselves what a unit of Bitcoin represents. A Bitcoin is divisible in 100 million units, and each unit is both individually identifiable and programmable. This means that users can assign properties to each unit. Users can program a unit to represent a eurocent, or a share in a company, a kilowatt hour of energy, or a digital certificate of ownership. Because of this, Bitcoin is much more than simply money and payments. A Bitcoin can represent many kinds of property: 1,000 barrels of oil, award credits, or a vote during elections, for example. Moreover, Bitcoin allows us to make our currency smarter and to automize our cash and money flows. Imagine a healthcare allowance in dollars or euros that can only be used to pay for healthcare at certified parties. In this case, Whether someone actually follows the rules is no longer verified in the bureaucratic process afterwards. You simply program these rules into the money. Ergo, compliancy up front. The unit can even be programmed in such a way that it will automatically return to the provider if the receiver doesn't use it after a certain amount of time. This way, the provider can ensure that allowances are not hoarded. A company can control its spending in the same way by programming budgets for salaries, machinery, materials, and maintenance so that the respective money is specified and cannot be spent on other things. Automizing such matters leads to a considerable decrease in bureaucracy, which saves accountants, controllers, and the organization in general an incredible amount of time. The programmable open character of Bitcoin allows us to completely rebuild and innovate our financial sector and our administrative processes, make them more efficient and transparent, and significantly decrease bureaucracy. But there's more. In an Internet of Things, our economy will be dealing with machines that actively participate in the economic traffic. In fact, they're already here. Think of a vending machine, or drones delivering packages. These machines are unfamiliar with the concept of trust, but Bitcoin is not. Because of Bitcoin, the drone can be 100% certain that it will deliver the package to the right recipient and know for sure that it's been paid for. And we can program the vending machine in such a way that it will automatically keep track of its supplies, order new supplies from the supplier, and pay for them automatically. Of course, you'll understand that this is only the beginning. Internet technology is disruptive and breaks the status quo. It opens markets and breaks the positions of middlemen all the time. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have caused a paradigm shift. It's time to explore this new technology constructively and critically, and openly discuss potential applications.
Okay, so that's about the distributed ledger. She talked about Bitcoin, but understand blockchain is the platform behind Bitcoin as well. So the fourth point there was disintermediation. That's very important. And one point I made in earlier lectures, that internet as a technology, as a platform, enabled many new companies to disintermediate existing companies. Like if you have heard about brick and mortar, got disintermediated by people like companies like Amazon. So in, here, an example of an industry which can be disintermediated, by the way. It will take a long time because banks don't change over time. They are one of the very conservative industries. You ask them to change, they won't. It takes a long, long time. And startup companies addressing that market will also face a long time to influence or make a change in the fintech industry. Even though many of them are supporting it, some are opposing it very uh, loudly, but many of them are giving at least publicly support of some kind to blockchain, basically. So even though some banking people are against Bitcoin, but blockchain, they are not against blockchain at all. So question to ask is here, since bank is an intermediary, right? They have the trusted ledger. I put my money there, you put your money there, other people put their money as well, right? So it's like a trusted third party, so to speak, in the middle. They clear the checks, they pay the people they want to pay, and all the things they do. So, but the question to ask is, why do we need a bank? If you think about it, if everything can be done peer-to-peer basis through a smart contract, and it is verifiable, auditable, it is safe, secure, unchangeable, then you don't need the bank, you see. So you put $1,000 or 10,000 rupees in blockchain using a cryptocurrency, for example, and knowing that it's safe, secure, immutable, and you can also use that to pay for your services or exchange values, exchange assets, buy assets, by the way, then why a bank is required? That's a question to think about. Okay? Now, it will take a long, long time for the banks to go away. They will never go away because governments will not go away, and governments need someone they can hold accountable. The second question I want you to think about, again, I'm taking big example for only one reason, to make you think big. Make you think big. Other big example is Amazon. Now, some people might say, who can replace Amazon, right? Guess what? That's not impossible. Amazon replaced lots of other companies, right? It was impossible 30 years ago. Guess what? They did it, right? I am saying, I'm asking you to ask a question. Why do we need Amazon? Can anyone give me a good, valid answer? Why do we need Amazon? I know that many of you can't imagine a world without Amazon, but I can imagine a world without Amazon.
Platform for exchange.
E-commerce platform, a
Centralized,
centralized, where we can find everything we want.
trusted, right? But our new technology is telling all of us that don't worry, trust me.
So did Amazon face the same problem when it was emerging? I don't know.
In the beginning, the stores,
Yes.
the stores were a little bit, but now your generation, and everyone, generation to me and your generation cannot live without Amazon. Can't this year. You can order goods from anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world for delivery. You can do that today, right? But why do we need that? There's a supplier of something, and there's a consumer of something, not same thing. So why though a consumer can't interact or transact business with a supplier without through a decentralized ledger system built upon blockchain? This is a question. Anywhere you see a third party involved, ask that question. Why do we need the third party? The third party may not like to hear that these guys want to kill me, remove me, eliminate me. But guess what? If you want to start your own business, you don't care about those guys whining and complaining about that, right? Amazon didn't care about the stores complaining and whining about why Amazon is selling the stuff. They put a platform, huge data centers, many of them around the globe to make it safe, secure, backed up, and everything else, right? They want your trust, by the way, that if you buy something from my platform, if something is bad, someone shipped a wrong thing, don't worry, we will handle it. Something like this, right? But if blockchain technology is assuring all those good virtues, good quality, ask these two questions. There are other questions too, by the way. Banks, Amazon, anyone in the middle of you and me, you see that. You and me. Even the teaching job is getting disintermediated by the internet. I showed you some videos, right? And when I was making the course content for 2 weeks, I asked the question to myself. I said, like, why I need to prepare slides, every slide by myself. I can get some supporting material from YouTube. Stanford, Berkeley, MIT, Rutgers, Princeton, right? You saw the videos, right? So why to make effort to create the new slides based upon the content I've read? Just show the video to you guys to support the concepts I'm trying to transfer the knowledge of to all of you. So that's why I use YouTube videos when I felt that there's no need for me to create slides. Please.
So again, for that also you went to YouTube.
Mhm.
So you know that everything is available there.
Mhm.
So we need a platform where we can access our data, and if the availability according to your availability, we have to access. Like Amazon, what he is doing, what is by my requirement, I have to search there, and he is giving me that product. she is acting as a third party. But how do I know what is my requirement? It is available with you. Like, what I want to say, like if we decentralize everything in blockchain, like how I will come to know that it is with you.
So blockchain by itself will not answer that question. If you or someone have to build application. Application layer is the one which gives which gives the instructions or people interact with. So once you have application layer sitting at the top of blockchain layer, so internet layer, blockchain layer, application layer. So internet is not going to go away. I'm not about internet, I'm talking about specific industries and companies, right? So internet layer will be always there. Without that, you can't do a distributed application, right? So there are the three layers basically. So you have to build those things, the search capability, the knowledge capability on the app layer. And the blockchain layer will store safely, immutably the transactions there. The interactions through app layer, transactions are stored in blockchain layer. Is it clear? Say yes or no.
Yes.
Good. I don't know the head shaking. Sometimes in India, you shake head like this. I get confused. You say no or yes. So say yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. So it might take a long time, but you guys are young people. I want to arouse big dreams in your mind. Okay. We can kill lots of ants. Ants are small animals. Mosquitoes are small animals. But there's not big profound satisfaction I found killing ants and mosquitoes. So let's solve huge problems or bigger problems than worrying about little things. That's the point I'd like to make at a philosophical inspiring layer. The fifth point was near real time. And near real time or real time is also a relative concept. Some people say right away, right now. But if today a business process takes, let's say, 1 month or 2 weeks, 1 hour is a big improvement from 1 month. Doing the same thing in 1 hour, but you can tell me that Kamalesh, 1 hour is not real time or near real time, so 1 hour is a long time, right? But we are comparing with 1 month, 2 weeks, 1 week, right? So it's all relative. So even though some platforms take 10 minutes to add a new block, guess what? The 10 minute may be much better, much more better than a week or 4 days. So keep in mind, that's very, very important. Don't get discouraged by people saying, oh, that takes 10 minutes. Depends what the application you are trying to replace basically. For replacing something which takes days with 10 minutes, guess what? I will buy it from you. I will. And you will buy from me as well, right? So we have to get these things real clear. What is real time? What is near real time? We got to make it very, very clear. Okay. For some platforms or for some applications, 10 minutes may not be good enough. We expect instant transaction, instant feedback. For those things, you need to choose that platform which says that I can do instantly. And that again is studied like milliseconds, microseconds, seconds, minutes that we understood. So one example of near real time or real time I'll give is what is called supply chain finance. And I mentioned that yesterday or day before yesterday, global companies are doing business on a global level, trading and buying and selling the stuff. Country one to country two to country three. It's a big long chain of getting paid. If for a supplier, might take a month to see the cash basically. Sometimes 2 months, depending upon complexities of the contract. So I think you've seen this chart before. I think yesterday as well. Buyer, supplier, and banking partners from both sides. Can be the same bank for both sides sometimes, but most often it's different banks, different countries. And this is a cash to cash cycle. Supplier, manufacturer ship the goods to the buyer. Buyer tells his bank that okay, here's the bill, invoice I've got to pay. The bank of the buyer has that invoice and information to pay money, how much and all the stuff. Then the supplier sends to its bank that okay, here's a copy of the thing, I need to receive this money, and the bank to bank transfer happens. It's a several days to weeks situation basically nowadays, depending upon countries, the transacting countries, which country the buyer is, which country the seller is. So this technology, blockchain technology, has the promise of cutting down the cycle time or the transit time of the money, basically, from days and weeks to less than an hour or an hour, let's say, because you will have to allow some time for people to check. If the banks go away, let us say someday using this technology, then you can forget about them from this chart as well. And the buyer and supplier can exchange goods and money on their own using the decentralized, distributed, safe, secure blockchain platform built applications. Clear? Good. Now, in my view, almost every industry will be disrupted. This is an image I captured from war zone countries in Middle East. Every industry is going to be disrupted in a bad way. This picture is that's what the message is here, that nothing will be saved or protected for too long, for too long. It's a matter of time, one by one, all the middlemen, middlewomen, the brokers will be disintermediated. Because people want freedom, people want to interact, transact with person to person, direct transaction, direct interaction. We don't want intermediaries. So there's a last video of this lecture today. We are going to show after taking a couple of questions. So Harshal, you go ahead first.
If we implement this technology in India, so we always have a question that we are creating an unemployment because we are removing the middle persons from between. So how to answer that?
So creating unemployment is not good for any government. Let me answer.
Could I add to that?
Oh, you want to answer his question for me?
Yes,
Do
sir.
that?
One point to that.
Excellent. Peer to peer. Okay, great.
So,
Peer to
Because
peer
in
teaching.
unemployment, like there is no point in employing someone where he's not needed, he or she is not needed. So that is actually, even if the person is doing that work and some other software or something can do that, this guy is unemployed. So it's a waste of resources in one way.
And then I want to add, thank you by the way, so I want to add some more on to that. The nature of employment is changing, has been changing since mankind was born on this earth. You think about it. How your grandparents were employed, how my grandparents were employed, how I'm employed has changed. I'll give you my own example. I don't want to dig into your family life and my father was a Purohit. I think many of you know what Purohit means. He was a village Purohit and whole life and a teacher of Sanskrit language in middle school. None of his children are doing that anymore. Even I, in my high school days, I was assistant Purohit as well to him. I used to go with my father, with Shank and Pothi, to help him out in the Purohit work, Katha and Shadi and all the stuff, right? So ask that question to me. Can I do that Purohit work now? I have to read the books again. I forgot those things. Right? Younger days, I could do Satyanarayana Katha within 1 hour. Bang, bang, bang. With Shank and everything, right? My whole village was my Jajma. Or more than half was my Jajma. Not my father's Jajma. So the nature of employment changed basically. I'm giving you my personal example so you can relate to that. That here's the man, how the employment has changed in one generation. So every new technology dislodges some existing order, so to speak. Internet did that in a big way, still doing it by the way. Blockchain is going to disrupt and dislodge some existing things to create new opportunities, basically. I will give you another example. Like in my father's and mother's time, they could not imagine from a small village in Bihar that their grandchildren will be salespeople, marketing people. They will go to Mumbai, Pune, Lucknow, Delhi, and some children will go to USA, some grandchildren will go there. You could imagine by then. They could not. But in one generation, because of new technology, where IIT educated me, I learned a new technology, I got a job, right? My nephew is based in India. They are doing marketing and sales, all kinds of stuff, which are unimaginable in my parents' time. And you can look at your own family 2, 3 generations ago, what they were doing and what they're doing now, or what you are doing now. So that's what it is. Things change, and we should accept change. We should invite change. We should create change. I want you guys to create change, not only accept change, but create change. If things are not changing, change them. Because changing creates opportunity. If there is no change, we will not have new opportunities. If they will not be simple. Example again, if IIT Gandhinagar was not created, we will not be sitting here. I will be sitting here. So it did create, place where 2,000 students can go learn, teachers can teach, and all those stuff, right? So I don't want to lecture a lot on this one, but I want you guys to create change, drive change. If there's no change, disturb the peace. Not in a violent way, in a non-violent way, using technology, peaceful technology. That's what I want you guys to exhort to do basically in life. So this building in the slide you see is crumbling down. Some people who are startup mode people, they want to start a company of their own. They can see an opportunity to create a company of machines who can build a new big house there. So some people might feel sad that, oh my God, this is crumbling down. They will cry, they will feel sad. Some people say, it's an opportunity for more cement, more bricks, more maybe new material by the way, or for a new prefabricated house. Or a house which can be destroyed again. Don't make a house which can be bombed down like that. Make something which can be destroyed. Or build a house in the sky, always moving around. Right? Or build a house on the ocean, floating around, no one can track you down. Right? So think about it. Every event, a change event like that, a cataclysmic event like that, has the seeds of creation. That is Brahma created, Shiva, the end of time, Vishnu maintains all the stuff. Giving you an Indian example from a spiritual point of view. So creation and end of creation, if they happen ever, time gets ends. Time, Kal, Mahakal, that's what it's called in India. Mahakal, Kal is that concept for the end of temporal existence. So temporal existence of this guy, this building is gone, there will be new things that exist. So anyway, we can talk over coffee some other time. It's very close to my heart, the question you asked by the way, and I want you guys to not cry over change at all. Create change, disturb the peace. Please play the fourth video. Thank you. Look at the 19th industry, what will disrupt.
The blockchain is one of the most promising new technologies for the future. So what is it? It's a distributed ledger technology that underlies cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and provides a way to record and transfer data that is transparent, safe, auditable, and resistant to outages. The blockchain has the ability to make the organizations that use it transparent, democratic, decentralized, efficient, and secure. The blockchain is likely to disrupt many industries in the coming 5 to 10 years. These are some of the industries it's already disrupting.
Number 1, banking and payments. Some people say that the blockchain will do to banking what the internet did to media. Blockchain technology can be used to give access to financial services to billions of people around the world, including those in third world countries who don't have access to traditional banking. Technologies like Bitcoin allow anyone to send money across borders almost instantly and with very low fees. Abra is a startup that is working on Bitcoin-based remittance services. And many banks like Barclays are also working on adopting blockchain technology to make their business operations faster, more efficient, and secure. Banks are also increasingly investing in blockchain projects and startups. IBM predicts that about 15% of banks will be using the blockchain by the end of 2017.
Number 2, cybersecurity. Although the blockchain ledger is public, the data is verified and encrypted using advanced cryptography. This way, the data is less prone to being hacked or changed without authorization. The blockchain eliminates the need for middlemen, making it more efficient than many legacy systems in cybersecurity.
Number 3, supply chain management. With blockchain technology, transactions can be documented in a permanent decentralized record and monitored securely and transparently. This can greatly reduce time delays and human mistakes. It can also be used to monitor costs, labor, and even waste and emissions at every point in the supply chain. This has serious implications for understanding and controlling the real environmental impact of products. The blockchain can also be used to verify the authenticity or fair trade status of products by tracking them from their origin. Some blockchain startups working in this sector are Provenance, Fluent, SkuChain, and BlockVerify.
Number 4, forecasting. Blockchain is set to change the entire approach to research, consulting, analysis, and forecasting. Online platforms like Augur are looking to create global decentralized prediction markets. These technologies can be used to place and monitor bets on anything from sports to stocks to elections in a decentralized way.
Number 5, networking and Internet of Things. Samsung and IBM are using blockchain technology for a new concept called Adept, which will create a centralized network of IoT devices. Operating like a public ledger for a large number of devices, it would eliminate the need for a central location to handle communications between them. The devices would be able to communicate to each other directly to update software, manage bugs, and monitor energy usage.
Number 6, insurance. The global insurance market is based on trust management. Blockchain is a new way of managing trust and can be used to verify many types of data in insurance contracts, like the insured person's identity. So-called oracles can be used to integrate real-world data with blockchain smart contracts. This technology is very useful for any types of insurance that relies on real-world data, for example, crop insurance. Eternity is one blockchain project that is building tools that are useful in the insurance industry.
Number 7, private transport and ride sharing. The blockchain can be used to create decentralized versions of peer-to-peer ride-sharing apps, allowing both car owners and users to arrange terms and conditions in a secure way without third-party providers. Startups working in this area include Arcade City and Lazus. The use of built-in e-wallets can allow for car owners to automatically pay for parking, highway tolls, and electricity top-ups to their vehicle. UBS, ZF, and Innogy are some of the startups developing blockchain-based e-wallets.
Number 8, cloud storage. Data on a centralized server is inherently vulnerable to hacking, data loss, or human error. Using blockchain technology allows cloud storage to be more secure and robust against attacks. Storage is one example of a cloud storage network using blockchain technology.
Number 9, charity. Common complaints in the charity space include inefficiency and corruption, which prevent money from reaching those who are meant to have it. Using blockchain technology to track donations can let you be sure that your money is going to end up in the right hands. Bitcoin-based charities like BitGive Foundation use blockchain's secure and transparent distributed ledger to let donors see that the intended party has received the funds.
Number 10, voting. Probably one of the most important areas of society that blockchain will disrupt is voting. The 2016 US election is not the first time certain parties were accused of rigging election results. Blockchain technology can be used for voter registration and identity verification, and electronic vote counting to ensure that only legitimate votes are counted and no votes are changed or removed. Creating an immutable, publicly viewable ledger of recorded votes would be a massive step forward in making elections more fair and democratic. Democracy Earth and Follow My Vote are two startups aiming to disrupt democracy itself through creating blockchain-based online voting systems for governments.
Number 11. Government. Government systems are often slow and opaque and prone to corruption. Implementing blockchain-based systems can significantly reduce bureaucracy and increase security, efficiency, and transparency of government operations. Dubai, for example, is aiming to put its government documents on the blockchain by 2020.
Number 12. Public benefits. The public benefits system is another sector that suffers from slowness and bureaucracy. Blockchain technology can help assess, verify, and distribute welfare or unemployment benefits in a much more streamlined and secure way. GovCoin is a UK-based company that is helping the government to distribute public benefits using blockchain technology. The blockchain is also a good contender for implementing a basic income. Circles is a project working on developing a blockchain-based technology for implementing a universal basic income.
Number 13. Healthcare. Another industry that relies on so many legacy systems and is ripe for disruption is healthcare. One of the challenges hospitals face is the lack of a secure platform to store and share data. They're also often victims of hacking because of outdated infrastructure. Blockchain technology can allow hospitals to safely store data like medical records and share it with the authorized professionals or patients. This will improve data security and can even help improve accuracy and speed of diagnosis. Gem and Tyrion are two startups that are working on disrupting the current healthcare data space.
Number 14. Energy management. Energy management has been a highly centralized industry for a long time. Energy producers and users cannot buy it directly from each other and have to go through the public grid or trusted private intermediary. Transactive Grid is a startup using the Ethereum blockchain that allows customers to buy and sell energy directly from each other in a peer-to-peer way.
Number 15. Online music. Several blockchain startups are coming up with ways for musicians to get paid directly from their fans without giving up large percentages of sales to platforms or record companies. Smart contracts can also be used to automatically solve licensing issues and better catalog songs with their respective creators. Mycelia and Ujo Music are two startups creating blockchain-based solutions in the music industry.
Number 16. Retail. When you shop, you trust the retail system of the store or the marketplace. Decentralized blockchain-based retail utilities work differently. They connect buyers and sellers without a middleman and associated fees. Sorry, Amazon. In these cases, trust comes from smart contract systems, the security of exchanges, and built-in reputation management systems. Two startups disrupting the retail space are OpenBazaar and OB1.
Number 17. Real estate. Some of the issues in buying and selling real estate are bureaucracy, lack of transparency, fraud, and mistakes in public records. Using blockchain technology can speed up transactions by reducing the need for paper-based record keeping. It can also help with tracking, verifying ownership, ensuring accuracy of documents, and transferring property deeds. Ubiquity is a blockchain-secured platform for real estate record keeping that is an alternative for legacy paper-based systems.
Number 18. Crowdfunding. Crowdfunding has become a popular method of fundraising for new startups and projects in recent years. Crowdfunding platforms exist to create trust between project creators and supporters, but they also charge high fees. In blockchain-based crowdfunding, trust is created through smart contracts and online reputation systems, which removes the need for a middleman. New projects can raise funds by releasing their own tokens that represent value and can later be exchanged for products, services, or cash. Many blockchain projects have now raised millions of dollars through such token sales. Although it's still early days and the regulatory future of blockchain-based crowdfunding is uncertain, it's an area that holds a lot of promise.
Number 19. Your industry. If your industry deals with data or transactions of any kind, it's likely a field that can be disrupted by blockchain technology. The space is wide open and the opportunities are many.
Did we miss anything? What are some other industries the blockchain is disrupting? Leave your comments below.
So what do you say? Any comments on this one? Any questions? So anyway, like we saw, the speaker talked about 19 industries, covered lots of space. Many things we have talked in the class as well, and one thing in India, we give one more example in Indian context. It's called the PDS system, public distribution system. It's called rationing or rationing. Uh, every month in India, 400 million people are beneficiaries of that PDS system. Many state governments, central government buys stuff from the farmers and other or wholesale markets, and the PDS system, and lots of corruption by it. We all know that in the system, uh, and lots of goods, food items are moving. All the things you can prepare food with, they are moving through that system, and lots of unethical things go on. This can be a good example. And the speaker talked about uh, retirement things and other things, payments, pension funds. The PDS system in India is a great example to fix basically. And the real estate market, I already talked about that enough with your own experience. The land record keeping and how the panna can kho gaya, chua kha gaya, right? All those things. Uh, there are all kinds of stuff can be done, but the government is in the middle. So design an application for those areas. The bureaucracy, the government will oppose tooth and nail because they don't want to be transparent. There are vested interests in the feeding chain or food chain who are living off corruption money. They don't want to be transparent. They want to be opaque, basically. Because opaqueness is what they've chosen to siphon off money or siphon off PDS funds. But these are the big areas. If the government of India, Niti Aayog, decides to do something big in those areas, uh, then there'll be a huge benefit to the citizens of India, people of India, because no one wants corruption when they are paying the money, but when they're receiving the corruption money, they all want it. It's very interesting situation, you know. So giver of bribe hates it, taker of bribes loves it. That cycle has to be broken somehow by generation blockchain. Say it loud again. By generation blockchain. Okay. So let's see. I have a couple of more slides. I won't spend much time. You've seen this page before. So it has lots of startup companies in many vertical ways. Some are going to flash the company's name in the bigger font today, and we are going to analyze 10, 15 of them next week, depending upon how many teams we form ultimately. But in each area, you can see, in currency area itself, you can see more than 5 companies here. In payments area, you can also see again more than 5 companies. And some of them I've chosen for analysis next week. We'll go into details. So I don't want to go into details of each company now, for there's no time, because it will take many days to talk about each company, basically. The point here is that all startup companies, 5, 6 years ago, they didn't exist. Just to be different and to disturb the peace, I turned it upside down, horizontally, making your life miserable and difficult to read what it is from left to right, basically. So it's nice to see things in different ways sometimes. So these are the developer tools from here to here. They are, legal tools, and there are, again, more than 15, 20 companies right here on one slide, basically. And some of them will be used for analysis next week. Sovereignty related to startups, you can see again, user controls, internet. But the point I was making about Amazon and Google and Facebook and all these guys and the credit card companies, it's your data, but they own it. Yesterday's talk, lecture. So how do we return the sovereignty to the user, to the consumer. Your data is your data. You can see lots of things here with different names, security as well, identity, uh, fintech startups. Lots of fintech financial kind of startups by the way. Payment side, banking side, supply chain finance side, tons of them. That's most active right now because people are afraid, the banks are afraid, while criticizing the Bitcoin, which is okay to criticize Bitcoin, but blockchain, they look at that as a very disruptive technology for themselves as well. So they're worried about that. So you can see the activity amount here and how much money is flowing. Value exchanges, startups again, tons of that. Well, look at content monetization. Someone is selling content, creating content. How do you make money out of that? You look at fiber storage. You look at all kinds of things going on here. 20, 30 companies in exchanging value, basically. And again, we look at two or three of them from this group as well. From each group, I've selected some companies to get a flavor of that. Shared data startups, IoT, you heard IoT before. What about the drones, how they deliver the package and how they can be linked through blockchain from the supplier to the consumer to your house. So all those things are a part of this called shared data startups. Uh, Authenticity startups, making sure the truth, trust, fact. Where you need authentication, make sure that it's 100% true. There are startups in that area as well. Did you see anything like academic area yet? Even though there are many, many companies here, there's still room to start up this company in the same field, by the way, if you think that you can do a better job for starting the company. So don't get worried that, oh, there are already 10 companies in a particular area. If you have a better idea to design a better mousetrap, guess what? You will win in the end. They will lose. Other advantage you have, you can learn from their mistakes. So not being the first is had one big advantage. You learn from the first guy who said, oh, I can do a better job than that. That's the big advantage of second, third guys on golf. But you can see that in the last 5, 6 years, less than that, hundreds of companies have started. I would say thousands now. Thousands right now. And you are from IT Gandhinagar, smart young people, you've got to start at least 5, 10 companies using this platform. At least 5, 10. If the GTU people, by the way, I'm not forgetting you guys, okay? GTU people as well are here, not only IIT Gandhinagar people, all of you are smart people, young people. Think big, disrupt the peace, basically. Peace is for dead people, not for alive people. Get it? Next session is going to be a startup analysis framework. I will talk about that on Monday. But I asked Mr. Pandey to send you guys 3, 4 slides. I think you've done that already, right? So I'm going to present or explain the framework of analysis, but you will see 2 slides from that my talk on Monday as well in that small deck, basically. And you will also see the companies I've selected in that deck to analyze. And I'm asking you guys, among yourself, I assume that you know the emails of each other, to start forming groups of 3 people. And again, avoid getting people of similar ideas or same idea. Okay, that doesn't go very far. But people who are different, diversity takes you much longer, much farther than same opinion people. So start forming the groups of 3, and then depending upon how many teams I will end up with, we will assign the companies to analyze on Monday. So I will first present the framework, create the teams, and then we will do the stars. But I'm asking you on the weekend to read about those 15 companies. Go on their website, go on angel list, find out who is putting money in them, who are the founders, who are the investors, what the companies do, why they are better than their other competing companies. So get all these informations in the framework I have given on one of the slides. I have a very small business model, startup model canvas. So use that canvas to think about as a guide, to think about those aspects about those 15 companies. Because you don't know until Monday who will do what. So it's better to you to understand the companies, their business model, their investors, how much money they have collected already from a funding point of view, how old they are, do they have legs, are they going to survive by the year, or right, are they making any mistakes? So right now, at the end of first week, you guys know enough now to critique other startup companies. Then after the end of next week, I'll be gone. I want to hear from some of you what companies you are starting. That's my ultimate goal. And if you don't start any company, I'll be very disappointed. So pressure is on you from me. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir.